It's a whole new world after the recital, huh?
Exactly.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, it didn't really feel real until I like finally got off the stage, if that makes sense.
It
But yeah,
totally makes
yeah.
sense.
But it was
Yeah.
such a good experience. I loved it.
Yes, it was obvious. That was really great. Good. You are the first of a new tradition. I'm always going to ask seniors who have just had their senior recital to answer a few questions and then maybe provide those for the people that are coming through the ranks and have not yet had a senior recital or even prospective students so that we have kind of a bank of people who have been through the process, not from our point of view, but from your point of view, which I think is a great way to do it. So you just had your senior recital. As you were on stage, what are some of the thoughts that went through your head as you were performing?
The biggest thought that went through my head was just how do I get the story across? That was the thing that kind of
Ah.
like drove through everything. And then there was a couple of little like don't forget these words, Vicky, but like
So that still happens even in
yeah,
a successful recital, doesn't it? It's not like, you get to this point where everything magically shows up perfectly without any extra thought. You do have to kind of corral your thoughts every
yeah,
once in a while.
exactly.
Good. Were there any surprises during your recital at all?
I think um during my French pieces, I hadn't like really felt the story as much as I did on stage. So
Oh.
I was surprised by that. I was like, "Oh, this is yeah, this is working. This is going." Like it felt really good when I was doing it.
It's interesting that sometimes in the moment of performance, we can access moments that we didn't ever access before. There is this spurt of growth possible.
Mhm.
Fantastic. I remember thinking that, in fact, I told a couple people that you had reached things that you actually had not done in public and that we had worked on, but they didn't become
Yeah.
solid. There were some low notes that happened.
Yeah.
Right? You delved into that low voice and it came out and it was reliable and gave you, a nice contrast to the high. And some of the high was like, wow, yeah, really good. I mean, it was like we could hear the whole spectrum of your studies because you came in as a soprano and
Yeah.
as a mezzo. Very nice. What was the first thing that you remember saying to yourself once it was done? Like, was there something you said to yourself that you can particularly remember?
I think the first thought was probably I'm really glad I didn't forget anything. But yeah, the second thought though was like I'm so glad that went well and I'm so
Yeah,
glad that like I just got to put it out there, you know.
yeah. Very, very good. I totally get that. That's great. What is the most important thing that you learned from preparing and performing a recital? And maybe those are two different things. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, it was letting myself feel confident going into the recital because like I had never done that before for
Right.
previous performances. So just letting myself being like, yeah, I know this music. Like I've been doing this music for forever and I need to just go out there and show people, you know?
Right, right. Do you feel like taking part in the opera program helped you with some of that?
Yes, for sure. Because it was just more performance opportunities to start with, just getting myself on stage more. And it was also kind of understanding how to frame a story in my mind as
Ooh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
absolutely. Good, 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 good. So you would recommend that to anybody who felt a draw
For sure.
towards that.
Yeah, for
Good.
sure. The chorus section, especially, just like helping you get used to being on stage without being the most centered focus is really good because you get to like experiment with things and
Right.
like figure out how to be yourself on stage while also being your character.
Yeah, without having the responsibility of
Yeah,
carrying the show
yeah,
somehow. Of course, those opportunities are
yeah.
there if you want
Those are
them,
good
but
too.
it doesn't have to be that way. Excellent, excellent. All right. What was your biggest aha moment in your studies in applied voice?
That's a tough one. I've had a lot of them. I think for me it was figuring out the balance between performance and technique, like what I was thinking about when and like what to focus on. And then
Right.
yeah, and then the other one for me was just to not overly manipulate things to get something out. Just let things relax and then it'll come kind of thing.
Excellent. Excellent. When did those things happen, or was it a gradual process for you?
The first one was more of a gradual process of letting myself trust my thought process enough. But then the second one was junior year, the second semester junior year, where I was like, "Oh, I can just open my mouth instead of opening my mouth and doing this and this and this and this and this, you know?"
Yeah. I remember that. It was a big day.
Yes.
Really good, really good. If you could give the freshman you one little bit of advice, what would you say to her?
I think I would probably say to her, take a deep breath and trust yourself more than you do, because I think with trust comes confidence and comes stage presence, and I think that's the whole point of doing any of this. So just having that trust in yourself is super important.
Really good, really good. And of course that it doesn't just apply to singing, does it? That's
For sure.
across the board. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any advice in general for maybe prospective students, high school students out there that might be considering Texas State or a major in music education or just in music in general?
Yeah, it would probably be to balance your studies with fun. So make sure that
Mm.
whatever you're doing, you're still having fun in it. Even though it's hard work for sure, but you need to make sure that you are having the time of your life while you're doing it, because otherwise, what's the point, you know?
Otherwise, what's the point, right? And would you say bowling apart is a part of that?
Exactly. Finding your alter ego.
Yes, absolutely. Letting them have a little airtime, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Good. Okay, one last question from me. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I've been thinking about this a lot actually. I'd love to be teaching in the public school areas, but I would also love to be in an opera chorus somewhere. I think that would be so much fun to just be still involved with the performance side of our art, not just the teaching side, even though that's my passion, just
Yeah,
having the best of both worlds.
that is awesome. I'm really happy to hear that because we as a faculty want you to leave with a bunch of choices and with a well rounded education, not only in the sense of understanding how things work, but with your passion full blown for continuing to sing and giving that to other people and helping them with that. So that makes me very happy to hear that. Um, so, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you would want to say as a, final stamp on your little interview?
I'm trying to think. I think for me, another, this is kind of going off one of your questions, but another big takeaway for me from this whole process was to not only trust yourself, but also to trust your teacher. Because a lot of the times,
I
I,
paid her to say that.
oh
I
gosh,
didn't.
yeah. But yeah, like doubting, like, is this actually gonna work? Or just like giving in and just being like, yeah, let's try it. Let's sing like a cowboy. Like,
Give this a go. Like a cowboy. Did I have you sing like a cowboy?
I think it was a chicken or a cowboy. I can't remember, but there was one. But
The secret's out now. You have to be able to sing like a chicken or a cowboy to be in the Vassian studio. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, because we ask for some crazy things, don't we? Well, you're going to be a teacher.
Mhm.
How does that apply? Does it make sense that we do that? Does that help you in any way? Do you
Yeah.
understand why we do that?
Yeah, for sure. It gets me out of my head and thinking about something else that I can like really focus on and really make big, and then I find things that I can keep and apply to other sections
Right.
of music.
It's often the best way to quickly
Mhm,
discover something you didn't know how you could do that you already knew how to do,
mhm.
right? And I used to tell people that I didn't so much teach people how to sing as trick them into singing.
Exactly.
And then if you want to keep it, it's your, that's your option. Good. So as a teacher, what grade level do you feel like you're going to be most drawn to teaching, or what scenario do you have in your head?
I think as of right now, I'm planning on starting out in middle school. I think they have
Mm.
a great sense of humor.
I've done middle school. More power to you. Good for you. They need people like you. Absolutely. And why are you drawn to middle school?
I think for me, it's like the grade where they're starting to discover all these new things. So I feel like they can get really excited
Hmm.
about like choir and music in general, and then it just builds a great foundation for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. And do you see yourself staying in Texas and teaching, or running off to Canada, or what?
Thinking of staying in Texas for a while. Most of my family's down here,
Yeah.
so I'll probably stay for a while, but you never know.
You never know. She'll go where the wind blows. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it was a real pleasure to have you in our studio. I'm so very happy for your successful recital, and you were a pretty good student, I gotta say. Any closing words?
Closing words. I'd say have fun, work hard, and love what you do.
That's pretty good. Doesn't get any better than that.